So let me switch that over now to TPS. Why does that always happen on camera? Just wait.
The fuel pressure regulator.
So we've got another bone stock Starlet that is about to be turbocharged.
Hell yeah! Hell yeah, bro!
This guy's name's Connor, and he came in and said, been watching YouTube videos and I want you guys to turbo it. And we said, we have Nick's old TD05 setup. How much power is that making?
300 horsepower with a bit of gas.
300 horsepower with a bit of gas.
Hell yeah!
Steam pipe manifold. We've got all the old oil lines. Full exhaust system. We'll need to put the battery up out of the way just to give a intercooler pipes a bit of space through here. Put an intercooler on it for him. Fuel cut defender. Stock injectors. We had the 4AGE injectors on Nick's car with the E85. This guy wants a bit less boost but more drivability, so we think we'll leave the stock injectors in this and just play around with the fuel cut defender and get it sort of more street.
I reckon it'll feel like a standard car.
Stock engine, stock clutch.
It's a brand new fuel pump and a brand new stock clutch, so
all right.
Yeah, that should be right, hopefully.
So this will be a pretty cool test to see, just putting the turbo gear on here.
Yeah.
And pretty low boost, probably, you know, 5, 6, 7 pounds, see what it ends up at.
It's just an off-the-shelf fuel pump from like Repco or something.
So on this, we'll probably run it, I don't know, maybe
6, 7 pounds or something?
6, 7 pounds boost. Might end up around sort of 80, 90 horsepower, roundabout. He's just interested in getting the spoolie noises, so I don't think he cares too much about the high power figures.
Connor's boosted style.
He's got Mazda MPS seats in there. They look fantastic and they're really comfortable. We just need to help him out with some seat mounts there. The tech screw's probably not ideal, but they are an awesome seat. So yeah, we're going to get onto that today, but we've got Peter here to help as well, and we're going to give him a job to do. I've been saying for ages we're going to get the all-motor GT going, so I'll get Peter to pull the engine and stuff out of that. We can take the sump off that, which has the oil drains, then we can put it on this engine. It's one less thing we've got to weld up. Then we can put this sump back on that stock bottom end. We'll put the stock engine in it, the ITBs, the high lift cams, the exhaust, all that stuff on there, and then next time I go to the drags I can sort of get a baseline of where it's at.
If we can get a low 15, that'd be cool.
Yeah, well Caitlin's car actually runs a 14.6, and when we race side by side, my Starlet versus her Orion, they literally were side by side.
We might be able to do it then.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
So then can do a bit of testing, run the GT, get some times. We want to start playing around the exhaust, and if you've been watching last videos, me making intake manifolds and
like you were saying, the GT was so much better to drive NA around on the street.
Oh yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
See how it goes. This pink degreaser is sick. Once we wash all this down, you can drain the radiator, pull the radiator out, pull off the exhaust shield, pull the exhaust off, pull the battery out, front bar off. We'll have to take this aircon front fan off so we can fit an intercooler in there.
Mine has that on there still.
With an intercooler. We only got that 600 by 300, that monster one.
Yeah. I mean, I just trimmed heaps of my front bar back.
The aircon will still work without that.
Alright.
So Peter, you can do all that, and then Nick and I will get on the GT and start pulling that apart.
Alright.
Oh yeah, you'll have to drain the oil as well.
Yep.
You have to pull the sump off.
Alright.
Oil pressure switch off, and really that turbo kit should just bolt up. Should be quick as.
Yeah. The fuel cut defender will probably take me like 15 minutes. So I gotta work out which wires are at which.
I was hoping I'd have some wrinkle black spray paint.
Yum.
So Peter's got all the top end apart. He's about to pull the exhaust off. We need to pull that sump off. It has no oil drain in it for the turbo. So we can take the sump off the GT, put it back on this engine, fit up the new exhaust, fit up the turbo, and yeah, keep going.
Stinks too.
Now it's time to rip apart the GT. We'll take the front bar off, intercooler, all the pipe work, just pull the wiring aside. Should be pretty straightforward.
3 hours later.
So Nick and I, we pulled most of the turbo stuff off the GT. Wiring loom, everything's pretty much out now. Just got to drain the gearbox oil, pull the CVs and stuff out, and that's ready to come out. Peter, he's pretty much pulled everything off this. Front bar, Aircon fans off. Pulled the sump off. It actually looked like the original Toyota silicone that was under there. And surprising enough, the pickup's actually pretty clean. Next up now, we'll modify the sump and start bolting everything on. So Nick's freaking out. It's got the big spring in here at the moment. And he keeps reminding us that we need to put the, what is it, 7-pound spring in.
Yeah, because I think it's got the 2 bar or 1.5 bar spring in it or something. So I don't want to drive it once and it smack like 20 pounds and send a rod out the side first drive.
And we go, oops.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's probably a good idea. We'll do that before we forget, because we'll all be that excited to drive it, no one will think about it. So a few months ago, before Nick and I had our power skid comp, we torched a pair of CBs and I snapped one in there, so we were just doing mad power skids down the road. We've put new ones in, done a few more power skids and run them up, so when we pull them out now, it's going to be interesting to see if the splines actually... No, that one's okay. Left side. Oh well, they're okay, that's good. So manifold's going on, and there was one thing when we built this, it doesn't, because it's so compact, it doesn't fit the standard oil filter, so we had to go and get one of these half-size ones, which is a Z182. Everything's the same, it's literally just half the size. We've got the turbo on, manifold's all on, and we started making intercooler pipes. So we've got some 2-inch coming out from the turbo there that goes to a 2.5-inch 90, and then silicone goes from 2.5 to 3 through a intercooler. That's 600 by 300, it is ginormous. Goes from 3-inch back to 2.5, comes up here inside the battery and goes through to the throttle body. Then we can put the dump pipe on, put the sump back on, and we're just about ready to start. Got the sump here with a dash 10AN fitting, that's for the oil drain for the turbo. This is just a 4 EFTE sump. And we got the engine out of the GT. So this is a first gen 5 EFE with the big rods, just stock bottom end, and got the C52. It's got a welded front diff, so makes it terrible to steer. Cylinder head, it's all just standard. Has a Model E steel head gasket, and has the 5 EFHE, that 1mm extra lift cam. It's made about 260 horsepower on 17 PSI. And it's still a one piece. So we're going to be using the bottom end for the all motor GT, and we'll take the 5-speed off and put the 6-speed on. So we've got the pickup hanging down as well, so we've got to try and, you'll have to hold your end up, so when we lift it off, we'll have to go nose down on the crank and then stand it up in the air. We can't let it sit on the pickup because it'll bend it.
Yeah.
I'll go my nose down. Oh, happy day! So this was a brass button clutch out of the blue car. We're making about 300 horsepower. Didn't really see many drag meets, and we put it in. We only went to that one power skid meeting and torched the clutch. It's going to look pretty burnt, I think. Alright, bit of discoloration around there. Good sign of heat. You can feel that, does not feel very nice. Lots of cracks in the buttons here.
Good flow.
Well, lots of cracks in the pucks. So we're not going to reuse that flywheel. We've got an extreme flyweight flywheel. I think it's like a stage 1 clutch, extreme. Still an organic clutch, but just bites a little bit harder than standard. This isn't really a massive power pack, so it probably doesn't need a big powerful clutch. Click, 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 click. So when you pull the stock cylinder head off, you can clearly see the head gasket's been blown. Now this had a Model A steel head gasket and the ARP head bolts and still couldn't hold it down. And this is what I've been saying for a long time, that if you've got a small rehousing in your turbo, it creates a lot of back pressure and quite easily blows the head gasket. So anyway, just cleaned it up. We've put a single layer steel head gasket back on it. And now we've got the built cylinder head. This has the big cams and also valve springs and porting and so on. But I'll go into more detail with the head gasket blowing and that in the next video. So we've got the head torque down. I've gone to put the exhaust manifold back on. Just thought I'd show this to anyone that's new to the channel. So these are the new billet cams I got made for the all-motor 5E, and here's the standard cam. I mean, look at the difference in size of the lobes. The billet ones are enormous. They have a lot more duration as well, so they're going to make the valves open for longer and open longer as well, higher as well, so there's more lift. Another quick tip is when you're about to put your rocker cover back on, put a small amount of silicone in the little gaps there. So when you go and put the rocker cover on, it pushes the glue out and will stop you getting any oil leaks. So we put the cams in yesterday, put the rocker cover back on, distributor on, put the leads in, fitted up the ITBs again. Usually there's a bit of an air box here that points out to the bonnet scoop there, but we'll put that on later once we know it starts up. We also put the exhaust manifold on, Peter's put the radiator back in, so we're pretty much ready to go. All the wiring looms plugged in, pretty much ready to start up. The only thing is it currently has a Microtech plugged in that was to suit the turbo system that was in there. And I've got this old Microtech here, this old dinosaur. We have this that runs the ITB system. And I have this old Microtech. We use this just for TPS tuning, and it already has the tune in there for the ITBs. So I know if I unplug that computer and we put this one in, it's going to fire straight up off the key. That's so loud. I love it. That's mad. See the bonnet's like shaking around. Bulk torque, 110 Newton meters. That's so good.